What is going on, everybody? It's your boy FilthySaint coming at you guys with the first ever YouTube video. We're going to be doing something I've never seen quite done like this before, guys. But this is going to be a review of 4 different controllers that I have used over my gaming career, hobby, whatever you want to call it. We've got 4 controllers for you guys today. I've got an iconic Elite controller with the iconic triggers. I've got a regular Elite controller. I've got a Scuf controller. And I've got my most recent Evil controller sent over to me as well. So let's jump right in here, guys. I'm going to first kind of tell you a little bit about myself. So I go by FilthySaint. You guys can see me on Facebook. You can also find me over on DLive. I stream a lot of competitive games, mostly right now called PUBG. And that's kind of what I'm doing mostly right now. I've been playing Xbox since it first originally came out. Been playing shooter games since Perfect Art, 007, all that good stuff. And I've been playing competitively since I was about 16. So for about 10 years now, I've been playing competitively on Xbox. So I've got, a pretty good idea about what's going to help, what things aren't going to help when it comes to improving your gameplay. So we're going to jump right in here, guys. For the longest time, my 2 controllers that I was using with this Elite controller and my Scuf controller, and I used them for different things. My Scuf controller was my main competitive controller for a little while. So we're going to talk about this Scuf controller here first. So the Scuf controller, and I apologize, one thing I lost on the back, I cannot find it anywhere, but on the back of these paddles, the way that these paddles work on the back here, they have 4 arms that go down like this, and their buttons are like directly pointed down. So when you're playing, you got to use your 2 middle fingers and press this direction. Made it kind of uncomfortable for me, guys. I did not like the way the buttons were back there. I just did not like that. One thing I did really like about the Scuf controller is the thumbsticks. They had the ability to pull out and change and swap out the thumbsticks on here. What I did not like about it is in order to do that, you have to actually twist this out completely, the outside ring, to be able to pull it out, and then you gotta actually put the ring back in there and tighten it back. The downside of the ring of this controller, guys, one thing I really did not like is that after a few months, I started having wear and tear where you could see the paint coming off the controller. You can see the paint coming off the buttons. I'll kind of zoom it up here so you guys can see that a little bit. This is just after a few months seeing all the wear and tear, and right here as well. But one of the most frustrating things with this controller is, as you can see right there on the inside of this ring, guys, right around here, from using it so much, the plastic that they use on this ring is extremely cheap, and you'll grind into it and create little ridges inside that ring. So when you're going around and doing a full spin, it's clunky. It's like it's grabbing all these little edges, guys, and that made it really frustrating when I'm trying to play shooter games and I feel like I'm having a little bump that's just throwing me off. So that was a huge turnoff for me with this controller. Secondly, guys, on the back, they just kind of overcomplicated it as far as like how to change and program the buttons. I never figured it out on how to program the buttons on the back. And secondly, they make everything difficult as far as having to use tools to exchange parts or to change the button mapping and all that kind of stuff. They require tools, so it's kind of frustrating. You can't just do it on the fly very well. You kind of have to like adjust, before, after games, things like that. You can't just do it on the fly. So that's kind of the Scuf controller. This I paid $260 for. This was the most expensive controller. I actually think this one was actually more like $275. This one was the most expensive controller I've ever bought. And I was really excited about this at first, but I quickly lost interest after a few months, and just seeing the wear and tear, unfortunately, it turned me off, guys. So I then moved over and went and got myself an Elite controller. This is probably one of the most common, popular controllers you see right now, especially out in the PUBG world, because, again, it gives you the 4 extra paddles on the back so that you can change those. You can button map them to any buttons on the controller to help improve your gameplay and, keep your thumb on the stick the longest. So that's kind of the objective and the goal behind having these paddles, guys, is to keep your thumb on your aim stick at all times. So what I did like about the Elite controller, this thing is heavy, it's durable, it feels super strong. Compared to the other 2 controllers, the Evil and the Scuf controller, it just feels durable. It feels extremely, like I'm not going to break this thing, okay? One of the downsides that I have right now of my Evil and my Scuf controller, they're both lighter, and they just feel like I feel like I might break them, I doubt it's going to happen, but I just feel like the Elite controller is just so much more sturdy, guys, and I really like that about it. The placement on the buttons, as you guys can see right here, it's much, much better placement on these buttons. The Elite controllers, they use a special magnetic system, so you can take out their buttons and just slide them in, and they just clip right in with a magnetic system. So you can choose which buttons you want to have in. So I know a lot of people that they just can't really get themselves to use all 4 buttons. It's just kind of complicated for them. And so they'll use just 1 or 2 of these buttons, and they can just take it out, and they'll just have, you know, 1 on each side, or you know, sometimes they'll just have 1 at all together. So that's kind of a cool little benefit about the Elite controllers, is you can exchange these little paddles on the back however you feel fit to kind of customize them for you. Another cool little feature on these Elite controllers, as you guys can see right back here, there's these little switches. These are your Hairline trigger switches. So what it's going to do is you push that, it's going to make it so the full pull of your Elite controller is only halfway. It's going to stop it right here. So let me switch it back and I'll show you one more time. So now you'll see this button goes all the way down. When you put your Hairline trigger on, it only goes halfway. Okay, so it gives you the ability to kind of customize it on how you guys like your trigger pulls. So there's a lot of customizations there. Another really cool feature on the Elite controllers that I really like is the analog sticks. They went with this magnetic system, and that might be why it's so heavy, because magnets are heavy. But they made everything magnetic. So on the thumbsticks, you can literally just pop them right off, and they come with 2 other sets of different analog sticks to be able to put them on there, whether they're extended or they're domed. You know, they give you the option, which I really like that. You know, it's smooth. It just makes it nice to be able to customize that Elite controller to how you like it. Okay, so the downsides now with the Elite controller, I'm going to kind of give you a couple downsides. One thing I do not like is that this controller is $150 compared to the standard $60 Xbox controller. But they decided to keep the exact same analog sticks from the original Xbox One controller. So that is their downside, guys. Xbox does not do good with their thumbsticks. You guys might recall back with the Xbox 360 days, those controllers, they held between 100 to 110 grams of tension on their thumbsticks, whereas these Elites or Xbox One controllers, they only hold about 80 grams of tension, so they're a lot more loose, okay, when you're using it. And you guys probably noticed that pretty immediately going from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, as the thumbsticks are a lot more loose than they were previously, which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I feel like that's a really important thing to kind of have control there, and they just feel flimsy. And unfortunately, from what everyone has told me on these Elite controllers, the number one thing to go out are the thumbsticks. They go out, they have drift, they have issues, and people take them back and exchange them for new ones. I know people, what they'll do is every 6 months or to a year, they just go and replace it and exchange it with another one because it's constantly going out. So that's a problem, guys. The biggest thing is you want a controller that's going to last you 6 months for $150+ controller is just not enough in my eyes for me. So that's kind of what you have it here, guys. This is the Elite controller. Same thing with the D-pad, just so you guys can see one more time. Even the D-pad, it's got magnetic. You can switch it out to a circle D-pad, kind of however you guys like for that. So this is a really solid controller, guys. Overall, I really do like the Elite controllers. I've used it for years now. It's a phenomenal controller. They're coming out with the new Elite 2, which maybe one day I will pick up and do a review on. But one of the big changes that they are making, which is huge, and I'm glad they're doing it, is they're giving you the ability to adjust the tension on the thumbstick. I believe, if I'm right, they're only going up to about 120 grams of tension, which is definitely an improvement from 80. So that's going to be a cool thing that they're coming out with. So I'm excited for that. So that is the Elite controller, guys. I've got a little grip on there. One thing I like to do is I use like gel tabs and different control freaks and stuff. So you kind of see that looks a little different there, but that's what that is. We're going to move on here to the Iconic controller. So this is Iconic controller. It's made by a company called Iconic. What they do is they customize Elite controllers and Xbox One controllers however you'd like them. They add different cosmetics to it. They add different little modifications to the triggers, buttons, things like that, to make it enjoyable for you and customize. So make it feel personal. One thing I do not have in the back right now, it's just the same as the Elite controller, guys. You've got the 4 buttons, and I'll pull one off here so you can see, but you've got the 4 buttons on the back, just the same with the magnetic little buttons you pop in. I just don't have them set up on this one right now because I'm not currently using it because unfortunately it's broken. So that's going to take us into the next thing. I mean, real quick, we already kind of went over the benefits of the Elite controller. With specifically the Iconic controller, the benefit here, guys, is what they did is they have these special Iconic triggers is what they call them. So instead of you having a full trigger pull like you see here with this, or let me take off my Hairline trigger. So you can see the full trigger pull right here, and I'll put it up to the mic so you can kind of see that. The difference on these, is they make it so that the triggers have 0.01 millisecond response time, kind of making them almost like a mouse click, okay? So I'll put it up here so you can hear it. You can kind of hear it clicks just like a mouse, okay? So the idea there is it's supposed to give you a lot more control over your shots going from full auto to single fire and not having to make that swap, okay, between single and full to be able to single tap shots from range. So that's kind of the benefit of the Iconic controller. The downside is I paid $200 for this bad boy, and 3 months later, my right trigger, the most important one, just starts going out on me, guys. Like, it would just work sometimes, then all of a sudden I'd be trying to shoot at someone and it's just not doing anything, and then it would just come back on. I'd have to hit it a couple times and it would start working. Just an absolute joke, guys. I spent $200 on this, and 3 months later it went out on me. Sent a long email to Iconic controllers. They didn't really seem to care. They did not give me the information I needed to be able to send it back to get fixed. They were pretty difficult to work with, guys, and I just don't appreciate that. If you're going to spend, someone's going to buy a $200 controller from you that you customize, and some issues go wrong, especially that soon, you need to stand behind your controllers and your work, man. Especially when you're dealing with somebody who streams and promotes their tools and the things that they use on a regular basis like myself. So Iconic controllers, you guys dropped the ball, and I'm sorry. I was super excited to work with y'all and promote some of your products, but I can't promote products that break, and I definitely can't promote companies that don't stand behind their work and want to make things right. So unfortunately, Iconic, you guys take the biggest L of this whole review today. So good luck in the future. Hopefully you guys can make the appropriate changes. So moving on, guys, to our final and last controller. This one is by far my favorite controller. And this one right here, guys, this is our Evil controller made by evilcontrollers.com. They do something very similar to Iconic. So what they do is they take your standard Xbox controller and your standard Xbox Elite controller, and they customize them however you guys would like. One thing I really like about this is they give you stupid amount of options, guys. If you want to have different face plates, you want to have different grips on the back, you want to have different color bumpers, different triggers, you want different colored buttons. I went with the gold up here. Tons of different options for the sticks. They just make this really nice. Okay, so some of the things that are really unique to the Evil controller, because there's a lot of companies out there that do make custom controllers as far as cosmetically wise. Some of the things that are very unique to Evil controllers that I'm just in love with right now are mainly two things, okay? On the back of this controller, you guys can see, and I'll kind of put it up here, these paddles. They've got these 4 paddles right here that are independent buttons. You can kind of see they're close together, but they're 4 independent buttons right here. Okay, these are all remappable buttons, just like with the Elite and the Scuf. The cool thing about them is 2 things, guys. You can map these on the fly. All you got to do is hold down your select button here, and you hold down left on the D-pad, and it will vibrate once, and then you just press the button that you're trying to map it to, and it will map that button. And it's super easy to just do that on the fly with these Evil controllers, which make it nice if you want to change something up in the middle of the game. You don't have to go into your menu or anything like that. The second thing about these paddles that I'm just in love with, guys, is just the position of them. There is no controller out there that has better position of their paddles than Evil. I'm just telling you guys, it is the most natural feeling controller that I have ever had. It fits just perfectly in my hands. I do not have to move my hands in any weird way in the back to be able to press the buttons. I had to do that a little bit with the Elite controller, and I had to do it a crap ton with the Scuf controller because the buttons are in terrible positions up here, you know, whereas these are just flush right on the handles on the grip of your controller. They just fit flush on all 4 buttons, making it really easy to get used to using all 4 paddles and really getting the full benefit of having the paddles. So that's something I really, really love about this controller. The second thing that I would say has made the biggest impact in my gameplay is going to be the thumbsticks. They have what's called Pro Tension thumbstick upgrades that you guys can do. So like I was saying earlier, a standard Xbox controller here has 80 grams of tension on their thumbsticks. 80 grams, okay? So that's how much tension it takes to be able to move this from left to right, is 80 grams of tension. So with this Pro Tension thumbstick upgrade on this Evil controller here, what they do is they go in and take these, they go into the mechanics of the actual thumbstick itself. They make it a lot better, and they increase the tension by 2.5 times, creating 200 grams of tension. Okay, this sucker right here fights me. It wants to go back center, and it makes me feel when I'm playing, guys, that I have ultimate control over my thumbstick and where it's going. One of the issues that I have with my Elite controller, because they made them more flimsy, is there's times where I felt like I would just be all over the place because the thumbstick wasn't wanting to go back to center as much as now I can understand this. The Evil controller does. So that's one of those things, guys, that you just have to like use it and try it to be able to understand what I'm talking about here. But having that tension at 200 grams as opposed to 80 is night and day difference when it comes to having control of your controller and just your accuracy, aiming, everything that just goes along with that. So this is the Evil controller, guys. As far as weight, I was telling you earlier, this thing is like a third of the weight of this. Okay, they don't have the vibrators inside the handles because they took them out to add these buttons. So there's some weight right there, and plus it doesn't have the mechanic system. So the downside of the Evil controller, as opposed to the Scuf and the Elite, the only downside that I have is the thumbsticks that you get are, that's it. That's what you get. So when you order it and you decide what thumbsticks you want, whether you want extended ones, whether you want dome ones, Evil has their own special Evil dome sticks that are pretty cool that they make and can put on your controller. But whatever you decide to go with is what you get. Okay, you can't swap it out and change it like you can on the Scuf and the Elite. They come with 2 extra pair of thumbsticks to be able to customize and swap out, you know, as you decide you want to. You can't do that with this. For me, it's not an issue because I use a lot of things like FPS Freaks and different grips. Of course, I don't know where I had a box. I don't know where I put them, but let me just grab you a couple so you guys can kind of see here. I use these bad boys, just little grips. They click onto your thumbsticks and create different type of grip here and different lengths. Okay, so I use those types of things. So having, you know, different analog sticks, it doesn't bother me because I use my own grips anyways, and I can change the height and do all that with those grips. So that's the only downside to this controller, is that you're just stuck with what you get when you order it. Okay, but I can tell you right now, guys, out of using all of 4 of these controllers for many years now and putting in a lot of time in the game to actually put them to the test, Evil controller is by far the most amazing advanced controller out there, and by far the most comfortable controller that I've ever played with. I'm absolutely in love with this thing, not just because it's, you know, it's stunning. I know it's just freaking beautiful, but this is an amazing controller, guys. You can get the benefits that I have in this controller, minus the cosmetics and stuff. You can get one that looks just similar to the Elite controller, just the black and silver, but with the paddles on the back, the Pro Tension thumbstick, and you can get that shipped with my Saint 5 promo code on evilcontrollers.com. You can pick that bad boy up for $124 shipped right now. That makes it $25 less than the Elite controller. So that's a killer of a deal, guys, to have those benefits that I promise are going to help improve your gameplay and just you know, kind of take your gaming and competitiveness to the next level, guys. So I hope that this video was somewhat educational in helping someone make a decision on what controller they want to move to, because there are a lot of different options of different companies that make controllers. I've put in a lot of the test and legwork for you guys, so I can tell you FilthySaint has 100% approved Evil controllers, and I want to thank Evil Controllers for sending me this controller, guys, so that I could actually put it to the test to be able to give you guys this review and my endorsement of the controller. So much love, everybody. Again, it's FilthySaint. You guys can find me on Facebook and on DLive just by searching Filthy Saint, or go to www.facebook.com/FilthySaintTV. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the future. If you have any other questions, or if there's any other review videos or different videos you would like me to make with my experience, please comment it below or send me a message. I want to be able to do a lot more of these in the future. So until the next video, guys, much love from Filthy Saint. Y'all have a wonderful night, wonderful day, and we'll see you guys in the future. Later.